Welcome to Pound for Pound, the MMA podcast. And now, coming to the mic, your host, Jalen Walker.
Welcome to Pound for Pound, the MMA podcast. I'm your host, as always, Jalen Walker. Welcome to the show, guys. We're a little bit late today. UFC Vegas 27 starts here in about an hour. The prelims are going on right now. So we're basically just going to do a quick rundown of the fights and some MMA news. But like I said, welcome to Pound for Pound, the MMA podcast. I'm your host, Jalen Walker, as always. If you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Music, or any other streaming platform, please check us out on YouTube and click that subscribe button. Much appreciated. UFC Vegas 27 has arrived, guys. Cody Garbrandt taking on Rob Font in the Bantamweight Division, with Yan Xiaonan versus Carla Esparza as the co-main event. Who will walk out victorious? Not sure. It's going to be some good fights. Also, UFC 262 recap. What a night of fight it was. Congratulations to Charles Oliveira on becoming the new Undisputed Lightweight Champion of the world after defeating Michael Chandler in the second round via TKO. What an amazing fight it was, and what an amazing night of fights it was. But we'll break it all down and much more. But first, a word from our sponsors at Manscape. Support for today's episode comes from Manscape. Manscape has the right tools to get the job done quickly, safely, and hygienically. Father's Day is just around the corners, and you probably need a gift for your hairy dad. Make your dad proud this year, and get him and yourself the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 and Ultra Smooth package. You know what they say, like father, like son. The brand new Lawnmower 4.0 and Ultra Smooth package is perfect for you and your dad in your life to complete your grooming game. Get 20% off plus free shipping with code POUND4POUND at manscaped.com. Manscaped is the only men's brand dedicated to below-the-waist grooming, and their brand new shaving tools just dropped right in time for Father's Day. The Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer is now available in the US and Canada. What makes this waterproof trimmer different from all the other trimmers? The 7,000 RPM trimmer features skin-safe technology to keep your balls in check and help reduce manscaping accidents around the world. A new multi-function on and off switch can engage a travel lock created for jet setters. The Lawnmower 4.0 gives you the ability to turn the 400K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. Additional guard length with sizes 1 through 4 to let you trim to your liking. All the products from Manscaped, in my opinion, are phenomenal, especially with the new Lawnmower 4.0. It's right here. Lawnmower 4.0. It's an absolute amazing piece of equipment. I recommend it for most men. All men, to be honest with you. And yeah, if you need to get your dad something for Father's Day, make sure you snag one of these babies. They're nice, very professional, and the packaging and everything down to the T is wonderful. But like I said, you can get 20% off plus free shipping with code POUND4POUND at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with code POUND4POUND at manscaped.com. All right, guys, let's get into a little bit of news before we get into this fight card. Some interesting things happening around MMA right now. I don't know if you guys heard, but Dana White stopped George St. Pierre from fighting in Oscar De La Hoya's promotion. Basically, the Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya, came out and said, Dana, quit blocking George St. Pierre's chance to fight. How about we get into the ring first, little B, and then after I kick your ass, I'll fight a real man. De La Hoya, GSP, hashtag let GSP fight. Interesting things around here. I kind of agree with Dana White. It should be up to GSP at the end of the day, but at the same time, if GSP is gonna fight, he needs to fight in the UFC. That's just plain and simple. There's no other place I think that he should do it. I mean, it's not for me to say either. But at the same time, I would love to see GSP fight, but I would rather see him fight in the UFC in the octagon. But yeah, it's very interesting circumstances here. I think De La Hoya is pushing too much for some of these fights. I know he was trying to get some other veteran UFC fighters to come and fight, but at the same time, Dana should let these fighters do what they do, but I understand where he's coming from. We need to save GSP from fighting anybody else unless he makes a final comeback into the UFC for one final fight, one or two. But like I said, we'll see. Very interesting things going on. Bellator 259, Chris Cyborg puts away Leslie Smith in the final seconds, and then she calls out Kat Zingano. Very interesting. I think the only person that Cyborg should be fighting is Amanda Nunes, but they're not in the same promotion anymore, so that's out the window. But man, Cyborg looked pretty good. She put her away at the end, did the job, and there's really nothing else to, you know what I mean? It's how it goes. A referee recently got physical to break up a fight. MMA's fighting Alexander K. Lee and Jed Musu. Take a look back at the recent battles, and that's how I found out about this. But yeah, basically a ref had to put a fighter down, basically putting his hands around his neck. I can't remember what promotion it was with. I think it was a WEF selection. But yeah, the referee grabbed, I think you pronounce his name, Dulat Bek Normalov, after he refused to release a submission. It's a huge no-no in the MMA. If you want to catch more of that, I'm pretty sure you can find it anywhere on Google or any MMA news site. But yeah, nothing too crazy. Last week, actually, yeah, UFC 262. Holy crap, man. Holy crap. First of all, one of the biggest things that stood out, Tony Ferguson. What's going on with that guy? What, 12 straight, and now he's lost 3 in a row. Not a good look for him. He's a legend. I hope nothing but the best for him. I hope Dana gives him another chance and keeps him here. But congratulations, Beneil Dariush, on that impressive decision victory at UFC 262. Some other great fights that night. Edson Barbosa looked pretty damn good against Shane Burgos. I mean, man, Kukigian looked great. She won. But the night belongs to Charles Oliveira. This fighter from Brazil has been in the UFC for so long. He has so many records, most submission wins, most fight of the performance bonuses. It was his time to shine, and he came through. Chandler had him rocked in that first round, man. It was looking really good for Chandler, but even Chandler said in the press conference after the fight that when he had him on the ground, he was overthinking it, and he was thinking, man, this is way too easy. I'm about to be the champion. And that's just something you can never do in the UFC, and that really pushed him back. And I think he could have finished that fight if he would have just been a little bit more aggressive. But coming out in that second round, Charles Oliveira, man, he hit him with some mean punches. And he got Chandler against the fence. Chandler went down. Ref stopped the fight, declaring Charles Oliveira the new lightweight champion of the world. Very deserving. I hope Chandler gets another shot at the title. Sorry, I just want to pull up the UFC lightweight rankings real quick. Chandler, man, he's an amazing fighter, amazing guy, and I hope he gets another chance here soon at the title. But who can they fight? We got Charles Oliveira at number 1, Dustin Poirier, or Charles Oliveira the champion, Dustin at 1, Gaethje at 2, Dariush is now at 3, which he went up huge, which is insane, and then Michael Chandler's at 4. I just don't understand how they put Dariush in front of Michael Chandler there, and then all of a sudden Tony Ferguson's at 6, Conor McGregor's at 5. So the next big fight for lightweight is Dustin Poirier, the number 1 contender, versus Conor McGregor, who's at 5. If Dustin Poirier can put Conor McGregor out, that's going to be perfect. But I think what Dana's doing here and the matchmakers, they're setting up for Conor to beat Dustin and Conor be the number 1 contender to fight Charles Oliveira, which is dookie. Absolute dookie. I don't appreciate that. I don't like that. I think Conor needs at least one more fight after Dustin to be able to be a title contender, but we'll see what happens. I honestly think I honestly think since Dustin versus Connor's happening, like, you got to give Justin Gaethje a shot at the title, or we're just, or just put Justin Gaethje versus Beneil Dariush, and then Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier, how we have it, and the winner of those two fights fight, and then they fight Charles Oliveira. But I don't see that happening. That'd be too much time. That wouldn't be to the end of the year until they can get that fight going. So it's very interesting what's going on in the lightweight division. Man, the champions in the UFC are looking fierce, man. It's still crazy that John Jones is the pound for pound #1 fighter in the world. I think that needs to be changed. Honestly, I think Amanda Nunes should be. Man, this girl. I mean, she's the women. Oh yeah, she is the women's pound for pound top fighter. But still, I think she's the best fighter in the UFC. You got Rose at women's strawweight champion, Shevchenko at flyweight, Francis Ngannou at heavyweight, Usman at welter, Israel at middleweight, Yan at light heavyweight, Alexander Volkanovski at feather, Aljamain Sterling at bantamweight, and then Davidson Figueiredo at the flyweight division. Man, we got some great champions, and we welcome Charles Oliveira to the lightweight champion of the world. Congrats to him, and congrats to all the fighters that night. All right, we're going to break down this card for UFC Vegas 27. Jack Hermansson versus Edmund Shahbazyan at the middleweight division. The Joker is 21-6. Hermansson's coming off a unanimous decision loss to Marvin Vettori back in December of 2020. This loss got him off his winning side as he won the previous battle by first round submission. 11 wins by knockout, 6 by submission, and 4 by decision. He has 10 first round finishes coming by 5 each for knockouts and submissions. I think the goal for him long term against Shahbazyan is to get the top position, to get the finish. But this young striker is likely to provide a serious wrestling game and wrestling defense, so it may not be that simple. You know, Hermansson likely has to tire his opponent out first, and then start the ground and pound, and then stand and strike with him. It's all gonna be about tiring and lowering Edmund's cardio, and I think that'd be Jack's best bet to win this fight. Edmund's coming in here, aka the Golden Boy, at 11-1. He's returning to action after suffering his first career loss at the hands of Derek Brunson, which was an amazing fight. That was a third round TKO. He previously had 11 straight victories before this occurred. He has 9 wins by knockout, 1 by submission, and 1 by decision. In addition, all of his stoppages are been both by knockouts and 1 by submission. And I think he has 1 first round finish. Edmund is going to have a considerable edge in the stand-up, but again, he'll be forced to defend takedowns while managing his gas tank against an experienced and durable veteran in Jack Hermansson. Having all this to say, both fighters have great positive attributes in their arsenal, but when it really comes down to it, I gotta take Hermansson wins via TKO. I think his strikes are just gonna be a little bit more solid, and I think he's gonna be able to push that pocket and get to Edmund. It's gonna be a great fight. Next on the card, we got Ricardo Ramos versus Bill Algeo at the featherweight division. Ramos is coming off a first round TKO loss to Lerone Murphy back in July of 2020. This loss snapped his previous 2-fight winning streak dating back to the previous year. He has 3 wins by knockout, 7 by submission, and 4 by decision. He also has 7 first round finishes, with 5 coming by submission and the other 2 by knockout. Bill Algeo, he's 14-4. He's returning to action after a unanimous decision victory against Spike Carl back in November of last year. This got him back on a winning side after a previous decision loss the fight before. He has 3 wins by knockout, 6 by submission, and 5 by decision. He also has to put up 2 first-round submission victories in his career. Both fighters have put up similar resumes. They have the same amount of wins. Ramos has a little bit more experience in the UFC, while Algeo just recorded his first victory out of 3 attempts. Ramos has put together a solid resume in the UFC, and he only has 2 losses in his and I think he was knocked out. Yeah. Algeo is capable of delivering a knockout, but his resume falls in line similar to Ramos. This is a hard one, but I got to take Algeo via decision. All right, next is going to be an exciting fight. Felicia Spencer versus Norma Dumont at the women's featherweight, Spencer's coming off that unanimous decision loss to Amanda Nunes, as we all know, in that title fight back in June of 2020. This broke her attempt at 2 consecutive winning streaks with a victory in the previous battle. She has a fairly balanced record with 2 wins by knockout, 4 by submission, and 2 by decision. She also has 4 first-round finishes, with 2 each coming from knockouts and submission. Norma Dumont, Immortal, 5-1. Dumont's coming off a unanimous decision victory against Ashley Evans Smith back in November 2020. This fight got her back on the winning side of things after her first career loss in the bout before. She has 2 wins by submission, 3 by decision, and so far has both of her submission victories resulting in first-round finishes. Both fighters will look to add more quality wins to their resume, but we'll see. I think I got Spencer winning this via decision. Spencer is a very technical fighter. She held her own with Amanda Nunes, went all 5 rounds with her. She is the real deal. Amanda outfought her in that fight, but I see Felicia Spencer winning this fight fairly easily. But it's going to be a damn good fight. It really will. All right, on to a fight I've been really looking for. Justin Tafa versus Jared Vanderaa at the heavyweight division. You guys might remember Jared Vanderaa. He's been on the show before. We'll probably try to get him on the show again. But he's going against Justin Tafa, a.k.a. the Bad Man, at 4-2. Tafa's coming off a split decision loss against Carlos Felipe back in January of this year. This loss stopped his previous attempts at a second consecutive victory. He has all 4 of his wins coming by knockout. In addition, 2 of those knockouts have resulted in first-round finishes. Tafa will be looking to get back in the win column after being on the wrong end of a controversial split decision against Carlos Felipe at UFC Fight Night or Fight Island 7 in January. It's going to be an interesting fight going against Jared Vanderaa, a.k.a. the Mountain. 11-5. Vanderaa looks to get back on track after his loss recently to Sergio Spivak back in February of this year. That loss snapped his previous 2-fight winning streak that dated back to late 2019. He has 7 wins by knockout, 3 by submission, and 1 by decision. He also has 6 first-round finishes, with 3 each coming from knockouts and submissions. Vanderaa makes his sophomore octagon appearance after a second-round TKO loss to Sergio Spivak at UFC Vegas 19, like I just mentioned. The Mountain earned a contract on Dana White's Contender Series this past summer with a first-round stoppage of Harry Hunsucker in November. We talked to him about that fight. It was a great fight. Vanderaa is the real deal. Both fighters have limited UFC experience, but I think we got to take my boy Jared here, a.k.a. the Mountain. Amazing fighter, and looking forward to see what he's going to do here in the UFC. All right, the co-main event, Yan Xiaonan versus Carla Esparza at the women's strawweight division. Yan, a.k.a. Fury, she's a beast. 13-1, won no contest. She's currently on an 11-fight winning streak heading into this matchup. Her most recent victory was a unanimous decision win against Claudia Gadelha. I believe that's how you pronounce her last name. Apologies if not. She has 5 wins by knockout and 8 by decision. She also has put up 4 first-round knockout finishes. Carla Esparza, 18-6. Esparza is currently on a 4-fight winning streak. As she approaches this one, her most recent victory was a split decision against Marina Rodriguez back in July of 2020. She has 3 wins by knockout, 4 by decision, and 4 by submission and 10 by decision. She has 4 first-round finishes, with 2 each coming from knockouts and submissions. Man, I think Esparza's going to be able to throw her combinations here. It's going to be hard for her to land, but if she can find that range against Yan, she's going to be able to do something here. But at the end of the day, I think Yan is just a little bit more technically sound than Carla Esparza. And I think she's going to be able to take this fight via decision. But I could be wrong. This is a very, very close fight. Esparza is to take down her foe to win. And I just don't see her taking down Yan that much here. So we'll see. But I got to take Yan wins via decision. All right, on to the main event of the evening. This is a damn good fight. I'm looking forward to this fight. I love Cody Garbrandt. I think he's an incredible fighter. But we got Rob Font versus Cody Garbrandt at the Bantamweight Division. Rob Font, 18-4. Font looks to improve on his current 3-fight winning streak heading into this one. His most recent victory was a first-round TKO against Marlon Moraes back in December of 2020. He has a fairly balanced record of 8 wins by knockout, 4 by submission, and 6 by decision. He has 8 first-round finishes and 6 coming by knockout, and the other 2, and the other 2 by decision, I believe. But yeah, he had a technical knockout against Marlon Moraes his last fight. Confidence is probably not in short supply of Rodvod either after winning 3 straight fights in his first time in the UFC. But man, the kid can fight. No doubt about it. Cody Garbrandt has a challenge coming up here. Rodvod had fight of the night against Ricky Simone back at I can't remember when that was, but that fight was insane. But he's got some challenges coming up here with Garbrandt. They're both going to challenge each other. Cody Garbrandt, a.k.a. No Love, 12-3. Garbrandt's coming off a much-needed victory after dropping 3 straight losses by knockout. His recent performance was a second-round knockout against Rafael Asankao back in June of last year. He has 10 wins by knockout, 2 by decision, and he has 7 first-round knockout finishes. Man, his last fight against Rafael, that knockout in the final seconds was absolutely incredible. Boy was put to sleep, was snoring. Man, it was incredible. But yeah, Cody Garbrandt, former UFC Bantamweight Champion. He makes his return to the main stage after that fight against Rafael. We all know Cody Garbrandt lost the title to TJ Dillashaw, but Dillashaw tested for EPO cocktails, as we like to call him. It was a great fight, but Dillashaw did come out and get that victory. But as we know, Cody Garbrandt, he's out for blood. He's out for that title. And I think Cody Garbrandt at the end of the day will be the new, will be champion again, either at the end of this year or next year. He's one of my favorite fighters. He gets the job done. He's from Columbus, Ohio. The dude knows how to scrap. And I'm looking for a knockout victory from him tonight. He's going to get it. He's one of the best in the Bantamweight division, if not one of the best in the UFC. He's probably the fastest striker in the UFC other than Adesanya. People sleep on Cody. People know he is, but they don't put respect on his name. And I think tonight he's going to get some respect put on his name with a wonderful knockout victory. But yeah, we got Cody Garbrandt, a.k.a. No Love, getting the win here. TKO versus Rob Font at UFC Vegas 27 main event. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you guys today. Weird schedule today. Sorry about that. But yeah, we'll be back here next Saturday. And that's for, let me see, I think that's UFC Fight Night. Yeah, that's Rosenstruck versus Sakai. And we got Walt Harris on that card also. It's going to be a great night for heavyweights. Co-main event and main event next week are both heavyweight fights. And then after that, we got UFC 263, Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori. And then we got Davidson Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno, the rematch. And then we also got Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz, Damian Maia versus Bella Muhammad, Paul Craig versus Jamala Hill. But man, that card is going to be insane June 12th. But stick to it. We'll be breaking them down here soon. But yeah, catch us next week for another episode of Pound for Pound. I'm your host, Jalen Walker, as always. Thanks, guys.